I wanted to note this. Ethnic minorities and migrants are really among that part of the public at most risk of poverty in Europe because of low incomes, discrimination, and so forth. And sometimes members of this part of the public can have different cultural attitudes towards savings. I don't know whether you cover this in your programs, but I'd like to know whether you've been able to mobilize this part of the public, whether you have been able to adapt some parts of your programs to cater for these rather different cultural approaches, and whether you've encountered any difficulties.
Well, we have not got ready the answer to your question, but you are absolutely right. In fact, in each particular country and in each particular nation, there is a different approach to money. If you compare the United States to Europe, there is a big difference. Even in Europe, when we talk about money, we do not talk in the same terms as the Americans do. But talking about migrants and minority groups, I think that you are absolutely right, that there must be certain programs especially adapted to the needs and to the cultural thinking of these groups. But I think this should start within the minorities who get organized together, because they have to be active in starting to ask questions. Sometimes the social workers do not realize that there is such a need, so they have to be told about it. In Poland, we haven't got a problem of minorities to such a large extent that we could that I could tell you about the experience we have. But maybe my colleagues have more experience. I can ask right now.
I could give a short answer to that. So Austria is a country with many migrants. So we have many different minorities, and in the bank it's not special for this program I showed you, not special for the Bauspar thing, but we started many years ago to have all the folders and all the information in all the languages we have in Vienna, and nearly not in every branch, but in regions we have people who are aware of the mother language of the migrants. So that's the first approach. We also have, but I'm not very specialist in that, but we also have programs as Islamic banking and so on. So we deal with it, but I think it's because we have the population to deal with it.
I just wanted to say, in the micro savings groups, we do have different minorities that are represented. There are Belgians, Romanians, Africans, people from North Africa. Now, the Africans themselves say sometimes, well, this is not part of our culture, that is the idea of saving. In fact, I don't believe that, because when you discuss this with others, you realize that it also depends on their living conditions. They've had to live from hand to mouth very often, day by day, and so they've lost the habit of saving. What is certain with these micro savings groups that want to continue with the project, we sometimes propose to them that they should set up a self-funding community, as here. This is one of the programs we propose to them, and there we do see a difference, which may be a cultural difference in their relationship with money. It's more community-based in a number of countries, much more so than here in Belgium. Nevertheless, I don't despair. I think that work can be done in order to try to reintroduce a degree of solidarity in relationships with money among these people, in their attitude to money. So perhaps in our programs we can introduce a number of differences, but I think it's also through discussion and group dynamics that we can actually achieve other solutions.
Donc, dans notre cas, je pense.
In our case, I think this is interesting because contrary to what we usually do, we have adopted a model that was started up in countries of the south, and we've imported it into a northern country, a country of the north. What happened is that at the beginning we drew up our methodology and opened it up to all sorts of groups, but discovered that we were only working with groups of migrants of different origins, but only migrants. For a while we thought that this was because migrants had much greater economic or social needs than did others. But subsequently we realized that it was simply a habit. The habit of community saving was much more present among migrant communities because they'd done this since they were small, much more so than among people from here. But over the years, we've had people from here who've begun to join this kind of system and now work with it. So that's one aspect. On the other hand, while it is true that we have worked with a lot of migrants, they are of very different origins. We have South Americans, North Africans, Sub-Saharan Africans. We have people from Asia, and they all work following the same methodology. But this is a methodology that actually adapts to their different needs, and it's not we as an association that have to adapt the methodology. It's up to them to decide on the rules of the game. So I think that in order to start integrating ethnic minorities, it is indispensable that they should be present in the actual formulation of the programs. They know their needs more than anyone else does.
I'm afraid we have no more time for questions, but we might have a chance for informal discussions after the conference. Thank you very much. It has been very informative for me too. I have learned quite a lot. I hope my panel colleagues too. To summarize, I should say that each of the presentations and each of the programs is very valuable. And first of all, we should avoid making one universal program for everybody to make everybody happy, and if he's not, he must be happy too, because that reminds me of something. And if the policymakers are involved in the campaign for savings, I think, then we will have a chance to win and to show that money is not evil. It is only the way we use it that might be wrong. So if you use the money in the right way, it is okay. And even if you have a very little, you can still find ways to use the very little money in the best way. Thank you.